So obviously, like you said, educational institutions block torrents, but they also block a lot of other things, right? For example, I made a film called Unlimited Girls. Surabhi had wanted me to write something about it and send it, and I was like, oh God, I have no time, and I was in NIT, and I tried to copy, to download an article I had written about it on a website, but for 45 minutes it wouldn't load. And I was like, it's just a text. Why is it not happening? Until I realized that Unlimited Girls sounds pornographic, and so anything that sounded like that was filtered out, right? So actually, this kind of blanket decision making about crime can't really resolve crime, can't really decide punishment, can't really figure out what's right and wrong, right? That I think is the question you're raising in a way. That how do I decide what is a crime? And because I'm uncomfortable with crime, I do not want to go into the nuance of it at all. And in fact, a lot of the thinking that has happened around copyright downloading, etc., is actually asking this question. Are you going to criminalize every single person in the world? Because almost every person in the world is doing this, right? So actually, maybe you need to change. Maybe the places where this is not happening are the places to question and say, are you too rigid and are you not willing to see that the world has changed? And the framework of crime and rightness and wrongness now needs to alter to accommodate that, right? So I think that also interesting is the way that many places will sort of like say, this is an internet connection, it's free for you to use in our hotel, but the conditionality is that you must not do anything illegal. But actually, they won't stop you. So they're leaving it to your ethical choice, right? And I think that ethical choice is the really important thing. In all ideas of crime and rightness and wrongness, and that is why I use the metaphor of love, you have to actually arrive at your own ethical decision about some things. The law will not always support what is changed. The law takes a damn long time to catch up with change. So actually, people generate the notion of change much before the law catches on, right? So when you are deciding, you have to also decide ethically. So I've met a lot of young people who are like, I'm not going to buy anything, I'm going to download everything because that piracy is revolution, man. I'm not sure piracy is revolution. Piracy is an evolutionary thing that is occurring as a response to certain capitalist market models that have become unsustainable. So piracy is a corrective that is pushing and pushing and pushing that model and saying, come on, like reassess what you're doing. But I really don't think that a bunch of people can just say that is revolutionary. So we also, each of us as individuals, have to really make a decision ethically about what we think is the right thing to do. So like my thing is that I always pay for independent content as far as possible, if I can access the person who's made it, whatever. I would like people to pay for my film. But if people pirate my film, I will certainly not sue them. Unless they're very rich people.
First, I like the cheeky tone of the film, and a couple of things I want to ask is what I've noticed in almost everywhere with regarding to artists is when they're starting out or in the like normal, they don't have any, they want more people, as many people to view their works as possible. But once they do reach a level of success, maybe because of the influx of corporates or any other thing, they are more concerned about the rights and usage of the work rather than the work itself. And your objection of the copyleft, sure, like it's right that everything can't be free, but don't you think that certain works, like for example, Tarkovsky or Bergman, they should be made available for everybody?
They should be made available. Everybody doesn't want them. Everybody doesn't want to see Tarkovsky film, and everybody doesn't want to see a documentary because see how few people are here in this room, right? So that's the truth. It's a truth I also have to grapple with. Like I can't insist that you must sell my documentaries for 100 rupees each, just like competitive pricing with feature film, and then you must give me enough money to make a living, right? I also can't insist on that. I also can't insist with other artists that you must make your work available free. That it should be widely accessible is the truth. We would like everything to be possibly widely accessible. But it's a negotiation, I think, right? Now, as Lawrence says in the film, because we love Bergman and we love Tarkovsky and we are very few people, that doesn't mean it's meaningless. I think the important question is this, that if only a few people want it, the market will say it's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything because only 1 lakh people want to see this film. So it's not worth our while. Because it is not worth our while, it is worthless, right? This is what the market says. So it goes into a gray space. And then because we buy pirated copies and the piracy guys start feeling like, acha, ye to bahut bik rahi hai, then you show it to your friend and you show it to another friend, then more people start buying it, so a market starts developing. And then other people come in and they formalize that market and you get these really good quality DVDs from NETV Lumiere or Enlighten or whoever else are the people who are selling world cinema, right? So it becomes accessible in a way that it wasn't to people before. And I think all of those things are important because, there are many people who've never heard of Bergman, right? But maybe when they're in Crossword buying the latest Chetan Bhagat book, they will see a copy of a Bergman film in the store and feel like, what's this thing? Maybe I'll buy it. So I'm saying all of those things should be there. But we cannot actually force anything to exist. We also have to rebuild that relationship of loving something and the labor of love that makes a thing valid actually. And it revalidates itself, right? Like market may say, or the corporate market might say, this bullshit, nobody wants to read this book. But there are people who want to read it, some 7, 8 people. They obsessively try to make that book available. Then that book becomes available to more people. So this is the labor of love. Love puts in labor to make a thing popular again. And it refines its market. To some extent, we can't negate this process. We can't actually make a process that is absolute, is all I'm saying.